As an overview of the SoBe mindful method, there are 4 elements of nature and 2 secondary elements. The 4 elements are the tree, the wind, the clouds, and the sun. And the 2 secondary elements are the bird and the butterfly. The primary elements represent aspects of our nature. They should be familiar to you by now. There's the tree that represents the body, the wind, the breath, clouds, thoughts and feelings, and the sun, the spreading of warmth and awareness. For each of these primary elements, there are 2 aspects, 2 ways that we use them and draw upon them as practices. There's the doing aspect, and there's the being aspect. The doing aspect connects more to relaxation and a readiness to practice mindfulness. The being aspect is more of an immersion in the practice of mindfulness. The doing aspect for each of the 4 primary elements are as follows, and this should be familiar to you. But I am going to take a little bit of time and talk about the clouds, because that's more elusive. The tree represents the body, and when you come across a tree as a mindfulness cue, you adjust the body posture, you can stretch the fingers, and that's the tree. When the fingers are being stretched, that can almost remind you of leaves on a tree, which can make you think of the wind, which brings us to the breath. And so the wind cues the breath, the taking of a few slower, deeper breaths. Importantly, for both the tree and the wind, we have done something. That's key. The key word here is done. It's a doing practice. We've adjusted the body posture. We've taken slower, more deliberate breaths. The clouds represent thoughts and feelings. And when we come across the clouds, the doing practice is to generate a thought in the mind. This is a thought. To hear that in the mind. To generate a feeling by doing a smile like this. And as the mood might be slightly uplifted, to feel that slight uplift and to notice in the mind the thought, to generate the thought rather. And then to frown, to feel perhaps a subtle drop in mood, and to note to oneself and to hear in the mind, this is a thought. That's the doing practice with the clouds. It's a little bit clunky, it might seem, but actually you'll find that it's rather useful for a variety of ways. Also note that sometimes people might just think that clouds represent thoughts, but clouds represent thoughts and feelings because feelings arise in the mind, and that's something that we explore through the practicing of mindfulness. The doing practice with the sun as something that spreads warmth is to wish for somebody else, may you be happy. And that's not just a thought, that's a feeling as well. You're really wishing for somebody, may they be happy, and then you wish that for yourself. And again, you see as best you can if you can generate a sense of the feeling of wishing well for somebody and for yourself. Those are the doing practices for the 4 primary elements. The being practices are really just observing what that element represents. The tree would be observing the body and the sensations in the body. The wind would be observing the breath and the flow of air into and out of the body. The clouds would be thoughts and feelings and noticing and observing, witnessing the coming and going of thoughts and feelings. And the sun would be expanding the field of awareness to sort of soak in with this very broad perspective, whatever's arising in the field of awareness. So these are the 4 primary elements, and this is a reminder of the doing practice for each, where we literally are shifting in some way what we're thinking or our body to bring about a certain state, which tends to be in the service of relaxation or creating a steadier state of calm, or in some ways preparing us for the mindfulness practice that follows when we then do one of the being practices or several of the being practices for the various elements, the tree, the wind, the clouds, or the sun.